Hello Aish, today we learn how to implement basic authentication in Web API with ASP.NET MVC. For this, we have required Visual Studio 2015, MVC 5, SQL Server 2012 or higher version. Why we use basic authentication? Let us see. We should maintain security in Web API. It means a valid user can only access the Web API or else it will throw an authorize error. Here we will discuss how we can implement basic authentication in Web API. Let us understand the HTTP basic authentication. In the context of HTTP transaction, basic access authentication is a method for an HTTP user agent to provide a username and password when making a request, and it is the simplest technique for enforcing access. Here you have used database, sample database, and basically used two table, one for users where user ID, username and password. I have defined user ID as a primary key here, and second table we get the list of employee. From second table it can be accessed after only basic authentication. Second table like employees, employee ID, name, salary. Here I have defined employee ID is the primary key. First, now need two table in database, users and employee we have already created in simple database. And let us see, our first step is make a class file to check whether user is present in DB or not. So I make a web security class file and here write some code. Like you can see, validate user is a function where passing username and user password. Then we check from the DB like where result db.user where x.username equal to username which can pass from the client side and x password equal to user.password.first.default which get from the client side and check whether it is present in database. So if you get any value means record is present. If result not equal to null then we simply return boolean value true or false. In the case of not user found we return false. Now second step, in this step we will add a class which will use as authorization filter. The class name you can write basic authentication attributes inherit from the basic authentication attribute abstract class. It contains override method on authorization which perform all the validation. Inside method check whether the header is present or not. If not, send unauthorized. Goes ahead to get the value from the header. Here we are using 64-bit encoding format to encrypt the username and password. Once you get the value from the header, it converts the original string which contains the username and password. Subsequently, it calls the validated user of API security class with passing the required parameter to get the Boolean result. If it is written false, it's an unauthorized error to the users. See, there is basic authentication attribute class which is inherited from the authorization filter attribute. From this, I have right here public override on authorization. Here we can check whether in header any value is present or not. If not present, we return unauthorized errors. If value is present in header, then here we subtract from the form 64 strings in original form like username and password. After getting the user and password, we check the user in database like validate users. It gives it true or false. If it is true, if it is not true, we will get the unauthorized access. Otherwise, you can authorize the controllers. And in step 3, like any control like home control or employee controller, in this control we write only basic authentications. So for global use you can also add it in webconfig.cs like config.filter, add new basic authentication filter, or also you can put in filter config.cs filter to add new basic authentication attributes. To see live example, let us open, go to file, new project, give the select web sp.net web applications and give the name of the project basic authentication. Choose empty, select MVC and web API, click on OK button. Here you can see our basic authentication. Here you can see project will be created now with empty and some folders there. First need to add models. Click on add new. Click on model. Now we have to add edu.net entry data model. So click on add. Click new items, data and edu.net entry data model and click on add. Next, click new connections. Post server name, SQL Server authentication, put username and password. Choose the database name. Like I have database sample. Select yes. Click on next. Entity framework 6. Next. Choose the table already you have created. Like first one is users and other table is employees. So go to employees. Select and click on finish. You can see your model1.admx file has been created and there is two properties users and employees. User ID, username, password, employee ID, name and salary. And also there is class will be created. You can see like there is users. So partial class like user ID, username, password, and there is also one employee partial class. Employee ID, name and salary table. So our first step will be created here. Now I have to implement here basic authentications. So I have to add here one folder, new folder like security. Security you can put here. You have made a folder, new security name. We have made a folder security and right click on it and add a new class. Class name will be like basic authentication attribute and click on add. Your class will be created. Now I have to inherit authorization filter attribute. So put here authorization filter attribute. Now add the namespace. Basic property of authorization filter attribute I have inherited. Now I have to override this class. Override on authorizations. Unauthorizations calls when a process requests authorizations, and you can see based on unauthorization context. Put here if action.request.header the authorizations equal to null, then we have create a response action context response equal to action context request dot create response http status code the unauthorized with give the unauthorized access message. So also I have to add namespace for http status code, then you can use system dot. After that, if suggestions header is not null, so get write some code here to check. So see here, else if authorization is not null, so get the header parameters like string auth string equal to action context dot request dot header dot authorization dot parameters. After that, string original string equal encoding name the namespace for this system.text .utf get strings, and what I have get this string from the header auth string. Now I have to convert from base 64 strings. After converting base string, it will get the original form in the user ID and password with the split semicolon. So you can see get the username and password. Username like original string dot split 0 positions, and in one position we will get the password. Now I have write one function here validate username password. If not web security dot validate users, then we give the message action create a response unauthorized user like action context dot response equal to action context dot request dot create response http status code dot unauthorized, and after that it will return base. So you can see we are not getting the security validate users. So first I have to need make one class web security. So go to security and one more class like web security class and click on add. So your class will be created now. Now I have to write one function to check the users which is available in it database or not. So write code here for check users. Here I have made public static bool validate users, getting from the functions from the basic here validate users. So simple entities need to add namespace. Sample entities db new sample entities where result equal to db.users.where clause I have to check username and password. Username and password come from the headers which already I have checked from this from here. Also need to add the namespace for this create response system.html apply. And here you can see x dot username equal to username and x dot password equal to password are first defaults. If the user is find in DB, then you get the result. Otherwise, you get the null value. If result not equal to null, then means user some same user is present in database. Otherwise, you return false. So from this, you can check either it is user is present or not. If present, if not present, you give the unauthorized access. Otherwise, you give the authorization to the controller or action matrix. So your authorization has been created. Basic authorization has been created. Now I have to implement this on some controllers. So go to controllers and add controllers web API controllers empty and click on add buttons. Now we can put the controller name here employee and click on add. So you can see here your employee controller will be created for API controllers. Now need to add some action method here. I put here a route prefix API backward slash employee and put the one actions method like I put route list for better understanding the URI, and here I have write HTTP get method, and also I have write public IHTTP action result for web API 2.0 introducing web API 2.0, and method name will be get. Define string JSON sample entities db new sample entities. String JSON sample entities is equal to db sample entities. Need to add the namespace for this. Go to basic authentication API models, and here where result equal to db dot imply to lists. We get the result in the list, and after list we have converted. Also need to add neutron soft, so add neutron soft namespace. Get the results list of imply in JSON format, and then JSON will be converted. JSON equal to JSON converter serialize object results, and after that we have created where response. This request dot create response should be status dot OK, and then return response dot content equal to new string JSON, and add the namespace for UTF-8 and application JSON. After that, return response result, response message equal to response. We get the list of employee. So you can see here your web API methods will be created, and now I have to add the basic authentication. First, run the application and whether check data is coming or not. So run now. I take API employee. Then after that we put the route list for better understanding. So put API employee then list and click on enter. So you can see here your JSON will be displayed. Now go to apps and open the Postman. For Postman you need to add in Chrome extension, or also you can install on desktop application to check. Our method name will be get, you must know, and URL. Check this, copy this and put here and click on send. So you get the result in the JSON format, list of employee from the date from the web API. Also you can test, also you can see the test will be done here, but it can be directly as such. There is no security till now, but I have implemented the security. Now I have to add the security in on this controllers. So go to basic authentications projects. Now I have to put security, like which security, put here basic authentications, and after that we need to add namespace basic authentications WebAPI model and security. Now run the application again. Go to Postman, click again on send. So you can see there is no result, and we got the message like 401 unauthorized users. Also you can check in Chrome. You can check this page is not working. The problem continue. Contact this site on HTTP 401. Means when we check on this 401 unauthorized users. So need, I've already implemented. So need to add authorizations, basic authentications. Put username like I in database. You can check select from users and click F5. So there is three users, username and password, Raj123. That is, password is not in plain text format, so need a uh, encryption format. You must use encryption to save the password. So for checking purpose, testing purpose, I simply use in a plain text, but you never use in productions. Always you use in encryption format. So use your Raj and password 123. So go to here, put Raj and whatever password. Now click on set button. Unauthorized users. So need to debug it. What is the issue? Now you can see our username only Raj and password is 123. So again go to, and I have only used username Raj and password 123. Update requests and again click on send button. So you can see status 200k and you get the result in JSON format. So now we can see our basic authentications will be implemented in a good way. Let us take some overview. Like first I have created model 1 EDMX and add two tables here, users and employee. After that I have created a security folders. In security folders I have create a class basic authentication attribute, and I have inherited the property of authorization filter attribute. You can check authorization filter is abstract class, so need to override this class. So I have put here override void unauthorizations. I should be action context, and check here whether header request header is contain any value or not. So if we contain a value, then we check username password. After getting the username password, we check it from the database, where I have add more one class like WebAPI security. We can see here WebAPI security. In WebAPI security value, in WebAPI security I have made a function validate user. This function will check the user eligibility in the database. If it's found, then return true, otherwise false. After that, basic authentication. If user is activated in database or present, then here you can access the action method. And after that, in third step, I have made one controller where API will be displayed the result. So get imply controllers, and there is one method named get, and I have put like here route prefix API imply route list and HTTP get method. Here I have written a code to get the data from the database using the entity framework list of all employees, and put here basic authentications. If you use basic authentications, then it will check the user and password from the database. Only then you can access the web API. Otherwise, you get the unauthorized users. Thanks for watching. If you want to view more videos, please subscribe my YouTube channel.